Good afternoon, YouTube. This is Chuck, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers used to say. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about slide outs on RVs. Now, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with slide outs. I don't really like them. My trailer behind me, as you can see, has one, and I want to talk a little bit about the good points and the bad points about that. So let's talk basically a little bit about what the slide out room actually is or does. And I need to get back over on this side here to kind of talk about that. And basically it almost works like a drawer. And when it's closed, it makes the trailer narrower so you can travel with it. But when you get where you're going, it opens up to give you a little bit more room. Now, there's several different kinds of mechanisms for this. I'm going to talk specifically about the one that I have on this trailer. Now, looking at my trailer, it's about a 30-footer. And as you can see, the slides end is pretty large. Well, we've talked about an issue called racking before. And what is racking? Quite simply, racking is when the trailer, thinking my thumb is the floor and my fingers are the wall, is when it flexes like that. Well, you can see that where that slide fits in the side of the wall of that trailer, that's a pretty sizable portion of that entire wall. And so therefore, if that wall were to rack in one way or another, then that slide is not going to go in and out. So what they do is they put in that back wall's got a lot of shear strength in it to keep that from happening. But it limits a little bit about what you can do. And I'm going to swing over here a little bit. Please pardon the mailbox in the way here. Now, my slide goes in and out about 3 feet, which is about the largest in the industry. And it uses a system called the Schwintek system. And basically it works quite simply, it works like a rack and pinion. And I'll talk about a little bit more about that later. But this slide on this particular trailer is about the limit of what a Schwintek system can handle. And they work better on smaller slides. And of course, some of your larger RVs will have sometimes up to 5 slides on them. And that really increases the livability in the trailer. But the flip side of that, of course, is that every one of those can break down and be a maintenance issue. So let's go in a little closer and let me explain how this system actually works. Now, if you get down here, up underneath the bottom here, there's a V-shaped trough, and there's a little roller that rolls up on that, and then there's a little section that fits inside this groove here, and then there's a wheel in there with teeth on it that runs in this track. All right, well, that's it. So that wheel sits like that back inside there. And then there's a shaft that goes all the way up to the top. And there's a similar setup up there. Well, the motor that runs it all is at the very, very tip top up there. And it's actually quite small for what it is. And then on the other side of the slide, go all the way down here, has the same setup. It's in the shadow, so you can't see it quite as well. But it has the same setup. So, on a Schwintek slide, or on any slide, you can see that opening, that square opening out there, needs to remain pretty square in order for the slide to fit in there smoothly. Just like a drawer in your kitchen needs to have, the opening needs to be pretty square, or if you don't, then obviously the drawer isn't going to stick trying to go in and out. Well, what that means, I'll come back around here where I can talk to you a little bit, I think. Well, what that means, quite simply, is that you want to have the trailer pretty much level when you open or close that slide. Now, if it's nose up or nose down, it can cause that system to rack one way or another, or if it's high on one side or the other, it can cause the system to rack. So, can you open the slide if the if the trailer's not level, yeah, you can do it, but it's not good for them. The Swintex system especially, the motor's not very powerful. The other thing about the Swintex system is that those two motors are independent. And what that means is if you put the slide in and out small amounts, you go out a little bit and in, and out a little bit and in, and out a little bit and in, that'll cause the slide to rack this way or that way. And when it does, it sticks. And when it sticks, it can stick bad enough that you have to take it into a shop to have it worked on. When I first got this trailer, I didn't understand how all that worked. And I actually got mine bound up to the point where I ended up having to take it in and have it worked on warranty, because at the time, nobody had ever told me that. So on the Swintex system, what you have to do is every time you open it all the way, every time you put the slide out, you got to put it all the way out, and every time you put the slide in, you got to put it all the way back in again. So you can't just open it a foot and then close it again. You can't open it part way and then close it again. You got to be sure and open it all the way out and all the way back, because when it hits at the very end, either end of the travel, then it resets itself. And so that's that's something about the Swintex system in general. The other problem with the Swintex system is that if one of those little motors goes bad, you don't have a hand crank to crank it back in manually. Now my big fifth wheel, when I had my big fifth wheel, it had a slide, but it also had a great big long handle that carried with it. And if the slide motor would have gone bad, you could actually crank the slide back in manually. Now, yeah, it was a grunt job. I never had to do it, but I'm sure it would have been a grunt job to do it, but at least you could do it. With the Swintex system, you can't. And so on this Grand Design Imagine, my trailer, the model's called the 2600 RB, and RB stands for rear bath. Then they had enough problems over the years with the Swintex system that the more modern versions of this actually have a different kind of a higher end system for that. The Swintex system was used a lot of the lower to medium coaches as far as the quality of build is concerned. And mine's the Grand Design units are, at least the Imagine anyway, probably would be considered a mid-level as far as quality is concerned. I haven't had a lot of problem with it over the 8 years I've had it. I have had some problems, but RVs aren't really designed to be used heavily. They're designed to be used recreationally, and we've talked about it before. They tend to shake themselves apart because every time you go on a bumpy road, it's like driving through an earthquake. But so anyway, let's talk about maintenance on the slide. Those little sections I showed you there. There's a lubricant to use, and for that. And I'm going to show you what that is. In order to do that, I carry some with me, and I should have got it out before I turned the camera on, but I didn't. But it's right here. Let's go find it. As you all know, I shoot live, and I don't do any fancy editing. The Grand Design technicians told me that I should use this CSC Power Lube, and that's what I should use when I'm lubricating the stuff on the coach. And in order to, I'm going to go ahead and lube that and show you how I do it. But in order to do that, let's put you back over here and put you on the stand, and so you can kind of watch me as I do it. I think I got that set right. I gotta go find the little tube that goes in this, and it's right here in the compartment as well. There we go. Had a little trouble finding it. We just put that in there. Like I say, if I was real polished, I'd have had all that done before I turned the camera on. So what we do is we just put a little bit of lubricant right in here. And then we put a little bit on the bottom. Right in there. Then we put a little bit on this track as well. Then we repeat that 3 more times on the top track and on the one on the other side. And that's what we use to lubricate it. And how often you lubricate it all depends on how much you use it. So I try to do it at least once a week if I'm out with it, or before I leave to go on a trip. And so I'm getting ready to put the slide in, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I'm going to do that, but I'm going to take you inside for part of that. So I think right now, rather than have you sit here and watch me, I'm going to turn the camera off for a little bit while I lube the rest of this, and then I'll pick you back up again here in a minute. Right, I already did the ones in the back that you can't see, and I'll do the top one now. I had to go get my little step. I forgot to bring it up. One nice thing about this product is it doesn't attract dust, and you don't want to use any kind of a product that attracts dust because you'll jam that track up. And remember, that motor's not very powerful. That's why you need to have everything kind of clean and level. And that little track every once in a while needs to be cleaned, and I clean it with just soap and water and an old toothbrush is when I do it. But it's pretty good. It's not real dirty right now, so it doesn't really need to be cleaned like that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you watch this. I'm going to go inside and I'm going to put that slide in so you can see how it actually operates if you've never seen one. As you can see, there's not much to it. Doesn't take very long. And now it's in the stowed or travel position. You can also see the last video where I replaced those side seals. You see how that flange fits up against those seals right over here. To try to keep the rainwater out of the trailer while it's traveling or while it's sitting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take you around and take you inside. Actually, show you how they actually work on the inside here, and talk a little bit about okay, I'm going to turn some lights on so you can see a little bit better. So this is what the inside of the trailer looks like with the slide in. Okay, I mentioned before in the other video that you can see where the dinette comes right up against the folding counter extension here. And you can see that there's a little gap between there and the bedroom. What that means, of course, is that air can move back and forth there for temperature control. But obviously you can't get through there. Now the other thing I like to point out about this while it slides in is the utility of this trailer. Now I've got the refrigerator turned off right now. That's why the doors are open. Let me close them for a second here. If you're thinking about buying a trailer, And I mentioned this before, but if you're thinking about buying a trailer, it's pretty important to be able to have access to the bathroom while you're traveling, so you don't have to put the slide out. There's a lot of RVs out there that in order to even get into the bathroom, you have to put the slide out. Well, if you're going to make a potty stop while you're traveling somewhere, that's pretty awkward. So if you're going to buy a trailer, one of the things you absolutely need to be sure and do is be sure that your potty is accessible when the slide's in. As you can see, this one is totally unencumbered. So if you have to make that rapid potty stop while you're traveling, and we all going to do that, then you can you have full access to the bathroom. The other thing would be to have access to the kitchen. And as you can see here, it's a little tight in here, but you do have access. You can open the refrigerator, you can sit down at the dinette, you can get the stove if you need to, you can get to the cupboards and the pantry, and you can get to everything with the slide in. So if you're going to make a lunch stop while you're traveling, that's important as well. Okay, then now what I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to open the slide, but before I do that, obviously by looking at this, you can tell that the floor plan of this trailer is absolutely not possible if it did not have a slide. Now, would I rather have a trailer without a slide? I think I said earlier in the video, yeah, I would, because it's just one more thing that can go wrong. But, especially in a trailer like this one, you could not have this floor plan and have a slide. What you'd have to do is you'd have to have the corridor go right through here to go to the bedroom, and then you'd have to move your sink over here, and you'd run out. You wouldn't have any counter space here, and it'd be hard, and the aisleway here would be pretty tight. And if you're sitting back in the chairs, if I can get back here to show you, sitting back here in the chairs, you would have no room whatsoever. Nobody would be able to get by you. So let's do the magic transformation here. I'm going to put the slide out while you're watching, so you can just see what the difference is in this trailer when the slide's out and the slide's in. So it makes a little noise. Now we got cold weather coming in here in a couple of days, and so one of the reasons I'm out here working on this is to put the slide in, leave the slide in. And the reason why I do that is that you're heating this to try to keep it from freezing, and so there's no sense in heating any more of it than you have to. And you're heating so many cubic feet of air, and there's obviously less of it with the slide in. Okay, there's the slide is out now. Look at the transformation here. Look how much room you have now. Now, sitting in the chair, even with your feet up, somebody can walk around you. When you got a big old black dog laying right down there, you can get around him, and you have all kinds of access to the dinette, and you can walk back and forth into the bedroom. And if there's somebody cooking here, you can get by each other. And you couldn't do that if you didn't have the slide, and that's the magic of the slide in this particular trailer. And so I figured I'd just give you my 2 cents worth on that. And like I said, I've said before, but we don't winterize our trailer like a lot of RVers do. And the reason why we don't is because we use it all year. And we're going to be leaving here on the 23rd of this month, going out for a week for a Christmas trip. And so what I do is I just leave the thermostat set on 46 degrees. And I leave the heat on in here. Now I've got a plug over, electric plug, a 30 amp electric plug on the side of the house, so I can keep it plugged in to power. And so that runs the furnace and keeps the batteries up, and the furnace keeps the interior here from freezing. This one also has, this trailer also has belly pan covers, and so there's a heat ducting down into the belly pan. And what's that? That's underneath. That makes sure your water tanks and stuff don't freeze, and your water lines don't freeze that are underneath there. And by and large, we haven't had any kind of issues with that. It works. I think if we had extended periods of time where it got down well below zero, we probably wouldn't be able to do that. But it doesn't get that cold here very often. I've seen it down around zero, but not very often. So basically, I guess that's my story for today. I hope it's, if you're thinking about a trailer, I hope it's giving you some thought. If you notice those what they call the expedition trailers, the ones out of Australia that are designed to be taken for miles and miles on the back roads, you know, they don't have slide out rooms in them. But a lot of those are designed differently. You live around them because they have slide out kitchens and all that kind of stuff. And but most of the trailers you find here in the U.S. will have a slide out room of some kind. And a lot, like I said, a lot of the bigger ones will have multiple slide out rooms. They definitely are valuable for your livability, but they are a maintenance issue that can go wrong. And in the case of one like this, you know, if that motor decides to break when the slide's out, you know, you might be stranded somewhere until the RV tech is able to come and bail you out. I'm fortunate enough, I'm a do-it-yourselfer pretty much, and I carry a lot of tools. And I think if this ever got stranded, I think I could figure out a way to get it apart. And if you take the motors out of these, you can push them in manually if you got 4 or 5 guys. And hopefully if that ever happens, there'll be 4 or 5 guys around to help me, and we'll get her done. So just to, like I say, a little bit of stuff to make you think. And I guess that's all for right now. So I'll talk to you later on another subject. So right now, let me just tell you, peace out.